He's the original grind father. Grit and grind in Memphis. Former first-team all-defense player in the NBA. He's Tony Allen, and he joins me in studio here on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. All right, let's just dive right into Lee. All right, this year there's a lot of discussion about. I'm watching last night, and Anthony Davis has 50.
50 big ones.
50. He's a Chicago guy, and he said, "Hey, Chicago produces the best basketball." We kind of laughed at him at first. You and I were recording a pod, and you started kind of going through the names, and like, there's a little stronger argument, I thought. What did you know that AD had this in him? Because it feels like LeBron has obviously brought out the best plus prime of his career. Did you know he had this in him?
Well, we looking at this great performance of 50 last night. LeBron James had already said he's going through Anthony Davis. We're going to go through Anthony Davis, and we need Anthony Davis to be our motor. And he's making good of that promise, what LeBron James wanted. And I can't say how impressed I am with him, because I always looked at Anthony Davis as a smooth, finesse kind of guy, silky smooth, lanky, whatever, athletic. The other night when he had 50, I saw him just attacking. I think they started off small with him. They had Covington on him. I caught him a couple times. He had Covington on him. He just was aggressive the whole night. If you remember that spin move baseline.
Yep.
And that set the tone.
Yes.
That specific dunk set the tone for that 50, I believe. And I'm just enjoying watching him.
It's fascinating, though, because he said to start the year, like, I don't really like playing center.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden they're at their best when they put Caruso in the lineup and he plays the 5, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, hey, look, if you're going to play with LeBron, you're going to play the 5, but it actually creates a mismatch for him so many times.
A lot of times it does, in pick and roll situations, he's rolling hard. Anytime he roll that hard, he's going to bring a crowd to him. But just his aggressive nature and seeking and destroying has been on his mind.
When you see the Clippers, now the Clippers, they don't always have Paul George, and they haven't always had Kawhi Leonard. You've been a part of a super team that was put together, right? When you were with the Celtics, you guys add KG to Paul Pierce. You also had Ray Allen same offseason. How long did that team take before you were like, oh, okay, everything's clicking?
I didn't think it took long. And that's why I was telling you earlier that most of the guys, they sacrificed early. They said, we have to come to some common ground where we all gonna do something together if we're gonna win together. They chose to shave their heads bald, and I thought that itself, made them figure out how the scoring load was going to go. We all going to take turns at it. We all going to pitch at it. It's going to take us to do it by committee. Most of those guys average 20 points a game coming amongst each other. So just them having that respect for each other and love for the game and to sacrifice, I think that's what built it.
The grind father, Tony Allen, joining us on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. Okay, Kobe has said you're the toughest guy to ever guard him. So, and you told me in the pod, you learned from James Posey early in your NBA career, you got to study film, right? And you'd watch film, you'd take it home with you, and you watch it. So and you study all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
What's James Harden like? Because James Harden, he's going to try and draw fouls. He's got the complete green light. There's a volume of possessions that he's going to have the ball at the top of the key, going ISO or going high ball screen. What's the James Harden experience like?
Well, considering the fact that on record I have been one of the guys who held him to 4 points, we can't say that. But I would have to say defending him in today's game, you have to just force this guy right and keep your hands to yourself because if you put him anywhere in the facility of the ball, you're going to get a foul, and pray that your big can be in a good help cushion position so, he wasn't get a straight drive to the lane. But ultimately, the way his game is being played right now, it's like it's on turbo L1 PlayStation mode right now because he's doing any and everything he wants out there. So, but if I could say how to defend him, let's just force him to the right hand as much as possible and just live with the result because the things he's doing now is unstoppable.
What do you think of Luka?
Luka, here's a guy who's looking at the game at a whole different pace. He's playing at his own pace. He's not too rattled. Second-year guy, you probably think he played with a lot of speed or whatever, but he's poised. He's seeing the game at a different speed. I say because he's scoring on grown men. Like,
and he's not. There's a little. You and I have talked about Paul Pierce about how Paul could always get a step, and Paul is not like he doesn't have like a great first step in terms of blowing by you, but he just knew whether it's angles or how to use his body. And there's a little bit of that to Luka, right? Where they know how to use their body, they know how to create space.
Sneaky athleticism.
Right? Yeah. White guys are only sneaky athletes. Paul isn't a sneaky, like, Paul is probably the first black dude ever to be a sneaky athlete.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah. But do you like it? Does the Luka thing, does that last?
I believe so, man. This kid, Euro experience, it's carried over in today's game. I like how he probes the pick and roll. I like his step back. He got a little swagger to him, and he's humble. So with all that being said, it makes me a fan of his. However, I want to see if this can continue. He's obviously in the MVP race, but man, the kid is shining like a star right now.
All right, you and I discussed this on the pod. By the way, the All Ball podcast will drop out a little later this week. We went into kind of further detail. But for people who haven't yet downloaded, what's the difference in guarding Kobe and guarding LeBron?
Well, I caught a whiff of LeBron early. I caught Mama in his prime. So any difference I would have to say, man, I just like Kobe's relentlessness. I see him not getting discouraged a lot of times when he went 0 for 7 and turned that into a 9 for 12 game. You know what I mean? When in other times where I seen LeBron miss a couple shots or get too much defensive pressure, I seen him lay off the ball a little bit, go a little absent in the game. And I can say that because I've experienced playing them. However, it boils down to the pick and roll coverages. They both are electrifying in the open court. They both could, knock down shots. But if I can say anything, I would just have to say Kobe don't get discouraged at all. Like, it's not a shot that he don't.
And he's also maybe a little bit more skilled in terms of.
Yep.
Whereas LeBron is so big and so strong, and the way the NBA game is officiated now, he can play downhill and almost bully ball you. Whereas Kobe came up kind of end of Jordan generation, where there's still hand checking,
footwork. I'm talking about his footwork. Yes. His footwork. I mean, the way he gets to his spots, and when he's in the post, he know how to maneuver down there as if he's a big. And I think comparing that to LeBron, I think at the time when I played him, I don't think he had a strong post game. I don't think his post game is too much to talk about as of today. But a lot of what we know about LeBron is he's taking off from the free throw line, dunking on you, strong, powerful. But for the most part, for our skill, he's getting better and better.
Yeah, and more of a passer. What about KD? Where does he fit in there? Because you faced KD and you guys shut him down in the Western Conference playoffs. Yeah, that 5 of 21 game where you were in him. But his game, and you were just so physical with him that he didn't like that. That's always kind of been the Pat Beverly, who's half your size, tried to do the same thing to him last year. Just shot over him after the first couple games. What about KD in terms? And obviously, this is all pre-injury stuff. Mm-hmm. Where does he fit in the pantheon of the great scorers?
Oh man, he to me he scores the most effortlessly. Like
he's a cheat code.
Yeah, it's like
I compared him to Kareem, and here's why. So Kareem had the sky hook; it was like unblockable, right? Whereas you have a 7-footer, or however big KD is, who shoots a jump shot this high and almost behind his head. It's kind of an unblock. He's gonna make it or miss it based upon everything before he catches. If you force him kind of off his spot, right? Because he gets to his spot, there's not a lot you can do.
No,
and that's a freak of nature thing.
No whatsoever. But I just like the fact that he can give it to you in a variety of ways. His catch and shoot is like a layup. His fadeaway is turned into a layup. His one-legged shot is being some
kind of Dirk-esque.
Yeah, kind of Dirk-esque. Got the youth doing it all over the AAU circuit. And he's shooting almost 90% from the free throw line, which is it's like you can't give him anything.
Most overrated dude you ever covered?
The most overrated dude I ever covered. Man. You put me on the spot.
I did. I set you up with about 8 minutes of fluff
Oh,
because
man.
I know there's a guy or two you want to say. Guy be like, this dude's signed for what?
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of these guys, man, they have great years. I mean, not even great years. It's like they signing them off potential or somewhat. So, I would have to say probably Gary Harris, maybe.
Gary Harris.
It was kind of. I'm not saying it's to pick on him neither, because
It was also early in his career.
Yeah, he got early in his career. He got game, but the moment they start giving out those kind of contracts, that was probably the first person.
Yeah, so I think that's what we as fans wonder. Like as a fan, we wonder if a guy, because I think fans, once they see how much a guy makes, we judge him differently. Are you guys the same? You're like in the locker room, like, man, this dude signed for what?
And
I'm coming to get him.
And not even coming to get him, but it made me just wake up like the league is changing now. Like I remember at one point you needed to average like at least 22 points to get one of those kind of deals.
Right.
Now it's like you could average 9 points and get $100 million. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was one of the first guys I probably looked at and said, "Yo, he get 80. They signed him for that." Then it turned out 2 years later, that's a little deal compared to the deals they giving out. So.
All right, who's the toughest dude, like the most underrated guy? You're like, man, that dude is nice. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh man, he nice. No
Yes.
matter anybody says.
Yes. Somebody that guys don't think, like I actually think, and maybe speaking, like I think like Conley's a dude who signed for a ton of money. Obviously now his body's beaten up. But I thought he was he was really, really good. But he's a teammate, that doesn't count. You can't go with one of your teammates.
The most underrated
Yes,
person in the league.
Yes.
Man, that's hard. That's
hard.
hard.
We have time limits
that's
in radio.
Hard.
This is not,
with Malcolm Brogdon?
You go Malcolm Brogdon?
Yeah, because you wouldn't think he'd pop off.
I wouldn't.
As
I wouldn't
one
think
of
he doesn't
most consistent, solid guys in the league. So yeah, I would say Malcolm Brogdon.
The grindfather himself, Tony Allen, and we hope to make him as much a regular part of this show as possible. You check out the All Bob podcast. Tia, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm enjoying LA, man.
Are you?
Yeah.
You an LA guy now? Like
I'm
from
starting
Chicago?
I'm starting to be.
Now
man.
you understand why all these guys are forcing their way to be traded out here?
Yeah, I'm starting to see now.
All right. Tony Allen. Thanks so much, Tony.
Much love.
Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus everybody else who's awesome here in Fox Sports Radio.